It's a beautiful day in paradise, and this is Debbie coming to you from sunny South Florida. And today it is sunny, but we've had some rain, and my flowers are happy. And my special guest today is coming to us from hot California. I have Renee Reisch here today. Renee, welcome, and thank you for being here so early your time. I really appreciate being here.
Thank you so much, Debbie. It is a wee bit early here in Southern California. But you know what? I always say when you show up to life, life shows up for you.
There you go.
Here I am.
I'm excited you're here. And folks that are going to be listening, Renee and I are one of those friends that have not met in person. But we had a long chat yesterday, and it was like sisters by other misters.
Absolutely.
One of those cool connections.
Yeah, a huge connection. It's kinship. It was right there.
It was. And we're going to jump right in because I told Renee yesterday the hour flies by. So thank you. And let's get going. What I like to do, and I mentioned this to you yesterday, is go back in time. I want you to go back to when you were a kid. Tell us a little bit about your family, where you grew up, siblings, hobbies. Who is Renee?
Well, Renee is ... right? You know, like a gal who really enjoys life. I grew up in New Jersey with two brothers. I have an older brother and a twin brother who is about let's see, he's 3 minutes older and he's quite a bit taller. But we are twins, and he's in Denver in Colorado, and I am in Southern California. My other brother's in California as well. So happy to have them. And I'm growing up in New Jersey, it was nice to have a brother that was the same age, because especially when we moved later on, to have somebody, you're kind of like felt like a ship out of water, it was just trying to find myself again. Because I'd grown up in New Jersey for 16 and a half years and then moved to Southern California where my dad got transferred. So it was nice to have somebody my age. He was in the same situation as I was, like, where do we go? It was the senior year. It's a tough time to move. Mm-hmm. But it was really nice to have him there, and we've always been close. So that's always a nice thing.
Were you a sports girl or a reader or music? What did you like there?
Always loved music. As far as sports, that's a great question, because I have two brothers, and growing up, so it's me, my two brothers, and my dad, and of course my mom. But having more of the boys there, especially as siblings, I would say more of a tomboy than the feminine side. They were, with basketball, during basketball, I'm out there. We had a basketball, the hoop, and I was out there shooting the hoops with them. And then we played something called wiffle ball.
I played that
in the cul-de-sac. Then I played baseball. Then I had my mitt. I was throwing balls. I was batter. I was there. I was doing all those things. Definitely more in that. Yes, I played jacks, and I did the girly thing too, and jump rope. But I definitely had more of the tomboyish in me than, I think, growing up with the two brothers. I think it would have been much different had I had two sisters or more of the girls in there. But it was nice, and it was fun, and got me outside playing sports. Football. Played football too in the backyard. We had a half-acre land, so the kids would come up to our house and play all the different sports. So I was right there. My dad, he always picked me for his team in football, and I'd go far out and try to catch it. It was nice. It was fun. So that was my youth growing up in New Jersey.
That sounds a lot like mine. I had three brothers, and very popular as you get older, because you've got handsome brothers, and the girls want to get to know you. But it was interesting. I spent more time around the boys and my brother's friends. Had a couple of really good girlfriends, but always had the guys around us. So
great.
And they're fun. But and it sounds like you had a really special relationship with your dad too.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's watching over me from heaven right now. So yeah. I'm grateful that he's still with me in another way.
Absolutely. Well, there's something special between a daughter and her dad, and at least in my family, and we talked about this yesterday. My dad will be 93 on the 15th. And what a hoot. I did go see him yesterday for his 67th wedding anniversary.
Ah,
And he wrote the most heartfelt, darling card to my mom. And although she wasn't feeling well, it really choked her up. And he goes, "How could I love you all these years? I'm asking the question." And he just laughed when he said that because they're a darling couple. And I look at them and I wish all marriages could be like my parents because
that is wonderful.
pretty
That is
fabulous.
a blessing and a gift. And for you to be able to witness and to see it. And they set the example and they set the bar quite high too.
Yeah, when I mentioned to my husband that mom and dad have been married 67 years and we're together 5 more for that, so that's what 72 years. I looked up and we've only been married 7 years. I think I said, "You think we can make it?" I said, "Between the two of us, we could have 72 years." But that's a real treasure to be married that long and still like each other. So
Yeah, my parents also, they dated a few years before they married, and they were married, I think it was like almost 62 years before my dad passed.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a treasure. And another thing we have in common, we're just checking them all out. So,
Yes.
Renee, you spent a lot of time in corporate.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your corporate life and how you got into that.
How I got into it was, it's interesting. I just was looking for a job. It was out of college, and I worked a couple of other jobs after college, just a couple of jobs here and there. And then this other one, I remember my brother saying that it was Bullocks at the time. I just dated myself way back in the day. And they were doing Christmas hires. And I said, okay, that would be nice to do, because I was actually doing my own thing for a while. And then I went into that and I got hired for Christmas and I did really well and they wanted me to stay on. And I did. And then, of course, years later, Macy's bought them out and I ended up being with the company for 25 years.
Wow.
So starting as a Christmas hire, you never know. I'm like, oh, I figured I'll just do this for the Christmas season, get some extra income coming in. And I turned out I really enjoyed being around different people and helping them out in different areas that I was working in while I was there. And I've always been very connected with, easy for me to connect with people. So I did that for 25 years. It was February of 2017 when I was released from working there. But I had held so many positions in 20, you can imagine, 25 years.
Yeah.
A long time. So I worked my way up the corporate ladder there and ended up in management for quite some time, for over a decade. But yeah.
Your tagline and stuff is all about finding your voice with confidence. When you were in corporate, did you feel like you had a voice? Could you speak up? And I knew you led people, you were a manager. Where did you fall in the pecking order as far as your voice and confidence in speaking up for yourself there?
Another great question.
Mm.
So I always spoke. I always felt like I could speak, but speaking and speaking up are not quite the same, because I was also, and I'm not gonna say I'm completely recovered from this, but being a people pleaser,
Mm.
it's something that, because I love making people happy. And certainly in retail, it's about the customer. You want to make them happy, you want to satisfy them. But I really took everything to, like, personally and professionally, I really want to make sure others were happy. But it's important, not but. It's definitely an important factor, especially when you're customer service. Separate from that, on a personal note, and I'm going to stay with what you're saying also.
Okay.
On the personal note of being and making people happy, you've got to make sure you take care of yourself also. As we know that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, in corporate America, I was just so wanting to please, not customers is one thing, but in my corporate role and what I was doing, making sure that, everybody in the management position, I was doing everything I was supposed to do and not speaking up when I really felt I wanted to speak up even more. And in 2013, I ended up losing my voice to a very, very painful illness. And it wasn't laryngitis where, just take some time off from, because I was talking quite a bit because I was in management and I was taking care of a lot of different areas. And it was more than that. It was a virus that actually attacked my vocal cords.
But it started off as a feeling like a sore throat, or did it feel
It was
worse?
very fast moving. It wasn't like it started out like a week before. It was the day before. I was working, I think, till 1 o'clock in the morning. It was a very long shift because in your management, it wasn't just, you're not punching the clock, you're salaried. So I was there and I went in, something that I don't recommend. I went into work not feeling well.
Mm.
But that specific day, I was also the only senior manager that was not Christmas, Christmas that was scheduled to close. They had since changed it after I came back because you can't just have one person, and if that person falls ill or they need support in closing, you need that other people there. And I had other people there, but a lot of them were the Christmas stars. I was the only one that was tenured. And so I got very, very sick. I felt like I had a sore in my throat. And that next day I happened to have the day off. So I went to urgent care. And after coming home, like at 1 o'clock in the morning, I had chills. I just felt really, really ill. Because as the day and the evening wore on, I was also wearing down. And when I went to the urgent care the next day, I felt like there was a sore. And she said, "You're right, there's actually a sore in your throat." Because I didn't say I have a sore throat. I said, I feel like there's a sore. And it was right where I said it was in the center. She goes, "That's exactly where I see it." And she did like this rapid strap test and checked me for, that. And she said, "No, it's not strep. You're just sent me back home." And the next day I literally felt like that sore had given birth. So my best friend, who's also in heaven, watching over me, she had taken me back to urgent care because I just felt horrible. As bad as I felt that first day, that second day was, just unbearable. So the next day when I went back to urgent care, that same doctor was there and she said, "You need to get her to the ER right now." I'm like, "Okay, how many sores are there?" I still had this little bit of a voice. And she said, "I'm not going to tell you."
Oh dear.
Because there were so many. She said, she knew I'd probably freak out. And she said, "You just need to get her to the the emergency room right now." And so we stopped at my best friend's house because she was a former Girl Scout. She's like, "The ER is never a 2-minute visit. It's going to be a while." So she packed up some things that she felt I would need and that we would both need while I was there. And we went to the emergency room and there we were for several hours. And it turned out I had a virus that was very contagious. And I remember even with that little voice I still had before it escaped completely, I asked the ER doctor, "Am I contagious?" Because I'm like, I don't know, what the heck is this thing? "So you're highly contagious. You can't be with the public." I was like, "Oh my God, what the heck? What do I have?" Like, it's one thing you're sick, you don't feel well, 7 to 10 days you stay home, but no, you can't be with the public. You're highly contagious. And for the next almost 4 months, I was quarantined and was not allowed to be with the public at all.
At home or in the hospital?
I was in 4 walls of my own hell in my body that I wish I could have escaped. I am surprised they didn't keep me in the hospital because I was no longer able to eat or drink. And I was kind of just withering away because there was no nutrients coming into my system. And the reason I couldn't eat or drink was because of what I just said. I had sores over my vocal cords. Sore throat is one thing. When you have sores actually on your vocal cords that are like, open sores, swallowing your own saliva, that was painful. That was so painful that I would spit it out. That's a little graphic, I'm sure. I'm sorry for anybody that's listening at an earlier time in this, but it was very, very painful. So that kept me quarantined for, like I said, for about 4 months. During that time, I would get calls on my phone, which I could never answer because I couldn't speak. And they were from the doctor from the office saying, "You need to go for more blood work." I'm like, what the heck? I was so weak. Like, what are they doing? And they were trying to peel back the layers of the onion, figuring what does she have?
Mm-hmm.
What can we give her to help heal her? And there was nothing. 20 vials of blood later, they didn't say take 2 and call me in the morning. It wasn't like one of those things. It was a viral infection that attacked my system, specifically my vocal cords, the instrument, the tool that I utilized to communicate. I no longer had it.
Is there a name for it? Because I hadn't ever heard of this before.
Viral pharyngitis.
Viral pharyngitis. So it attacked primarily your vocal cords,
Primarily all, yeah.
but the rest of your body.
It was my vocal cords.
Okay.
The reason I say my body is because of the infection, I had a low-grade fever for that 4-month period. And it wasn't going away every day. It was like the same low-grade fever because they couldn't give me anything. They were just trying to figure out what can we help her with. And it was really the gift of time that I never gave myself, Debbie.
Mm.
And I know people listening are like, oh, I hear you. Got to do this, got to do that, have to do this, have to do that, take the kids here, do this, do that. You know, I don't have kids, but I mean, anybody that could relate, whether you're corporate, single, you know, whatever that is, wherever you are in a relationship that's not fulfilling, that you're always feeling you have to do something else, or you're upset about something. I never addressed myself. It was always the outside people that I know I can't. My best friend just say, slow down. You got to slow down, Renee, stop. You got to, no. I have to do this. This is due tomorrow. I've got to take this care of this. I have to do that. What I needed to do and what I had to do was listen to her and stop. And I didn't listen to my best friend. And I didn't stop until a much even higher power stopped me in my tracks and said, that's it. You're going to end up here before you are fulfilling your duties down there. And I have work for you to do because you got a lot of things you need to do before you do your next thing. And I just needed to slow down and stop. And I was forced to. It wasn't a choice. People say, oh, you always have a choice.
Yeah.
You're told you can no longer be with the public. I was so weak. I couldn't do anything. Like, oh, you can work from home. You could. I stared out the window like a hospital window. I couldn't do anything. I was so weak and in so much pain. There was nothing I physically, mentally, or emotionally could do because it attacked me physically, mentally, and emotionally. When I say attacked, that's the choice that I'm using of the word. It was attacked. It was an attack on my vocal cords. And like I said, this isn't to bring you there, but to show people listening, like now she's talking, now she's got a voice. What is she doing? Yeah, it came back, and it wasn't just overnight. It was a year with vocal coaching. I had to see a therapist because I'd gone to a specialist. The doctors had sent me to a specialist to see if I was going to have permanent damage and if I would ever be able to speak again. They thought it could be permanent damage and my vocal cords would have all the scar tissue that would impair me from ever speaking again. And that was extremely scary because I never thought for a minute, even though I couldn't talk and I was in a lot of pain, that it was something that could be permanent until they said, we're sending you off to specialists to see if you have permanent damage. I'm like, I couldn't even say what. I was like I just did. It was never a thought. I'm like, I knew I was really sick. I knew I was in a lot of pain, but to never speak again, I never even fathomed that was something that could even, it wasn't even a possibility. It never even was a thought until I heard them say, we're sending you here to see if this is like a permanent situation. Holy cow.
Did you ever feel like giving up? And if so, I mean, it might have been for a minute. What got you to keep motoring on?
Another great question. I didn't want to live anymore. The pain was so unbearable. If I could have literally unzipped my skin and just flown away, I would have. In fact, I looked forward to going to bed when I woke up because I just wanted to escape the pain. I was like, anything, just get me out of this. Get me out of here. Because here wasn't pretty. And I didn't know what to do when you're reliant upon Western medical, the Western medical industry, and they have no answers. And you can't take anything or do anything. I'm not one to take medications. I don't say, oh, just take something and, I'd rather not take anything. That's really what I prefer, not to take anything if I don't have to. But like I said, the pain was so great. I thought they can give me something. And they did give me in the ER a viscose kind of a spray. Viscose, it was like a numbing agent that he being the ER doctor that was carrying me, he put on this mask on my face, a clear mask which had holes in it, and on my throat they would spray this into my throat to numb it, and of course it wore off, and it was just very difficult. So yeah,
so mentally you were so depressed, and I mean it was a depressing time, but physically if you're not eating, then your body is withering, like you said, so there's no energy there. So where did you get the strength to come through this?
It was physical, emotional, and mental. Physical, obviously, because of the sores. Emotional, because I was no longer allowed to be my loved ones, my best friend, my parents. I was like done. You can't see anybody. And mentally, because doctors couldn't help me, and I didn't know how to help myself. So it was like a trifecta of an attack, more than just what I was going through on having an illness like this. Where did I get the strength? I didn't really know that I had the strength. And when whatever you people out here listening believe, I very much believe a higher power, whether you think God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, there is something much greater out there. And when you are brought to something and through something so devastating and so painful, there's also a greater reason. And I didn't know it at the time because I wasn't spiritual. But the greater reason isn't about me. And it's not what I went through, but that was the vehicle that was used, was the illness. The vessel is me. And that's to give me back my voice to serve others in a greater way, with a stronger voice, to show them, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, they always had it within themselves. The strength, the courage, confidence to get through what you were being put through. And I didn't know if I was being punched at the time, like what could I have done so horrible to have such an illness? And when I said earlier that I wanted to escape it and go to sleep when I woke up, something else I realized, hindsight's 2020, with or without glasses, is that when you, like I said, when you're brought to something and through something, that purpose, when you're here for something greater than you, and you're here to serve with that greater purpose, you find that power from within. What I wanted to say earlier is that I tried to go to bed. I want to go back to bed when I woke up from the pain in the morning when I would wake up. But what also happened is I'd wake up in the middle of the night in severe pain because I must have swallowed at some point during the night. And what that made me realize, when I was saying hindsight's 2020, is that when you were brought to something, you are here to understand what that purpose is, and you don't understand it at the time. But I wanted to escape the pain and go back to bed when I'd wake up. I wanted to get out of the pain and go back to sleep. But you have to face things in life that may not be pretty and painful at the same time. They are pretty painful, but you need to face it to understand it. And you won't have an understanding if you are just, skating through life. Everything is the rainbows and unicorns. Not that I want anybody to go through something as difficult as I did. That was, I wouldn't want a worst enemy if I ever had one. But to understand that when you are brought to it and through it, it's to learn that you have something greater within you, and to sustain it, and to be able to serve others in a way that you never thought you could. But you first have to learn to be that strength for yourself and to have that courage and confidence from within. Because how can you care for others if you can't care for you?
And a lot of times it's difficult, and I've heard you talk about this too, but when we're small and you were bullied as a child, right? That those things really stick with you. They stay with you. You may not remember them, but they're in your subconscious. Your body remembers it. And I've got friends who were bullied as children, and that hurts as adults. I mean, something's going to trigger it. It's going to come back. And maybe this was well, we were talking earlier about, you didn't have your voice at work. Tell us a little bit about when you were a kid, you didn't have your voice with the bullies.
I didn't. I think we always have it, like Dorothy, there's a Roz always have it within you. But I didn't have it because I never spoke up. When I was a kid, I was bullied in school. I was pushed in hallways. I was shoved into lockers. I was kicked under the desk. And I didn't understand why. I'm like, what the heck did I do? And I would remember, I was like the girl walking with the books on her chest, walking to my next class, not hurting a fly, just doing what I was supposed to be doing, is getting an education. But I got another education, which I never anticipated. And I remember in one of my elective classes, the teacher, it was a photography class, and she had seen me, I guess, can't come in with a really sad or hurt look on my face. And she came up to me, she said, what's wrong? What's the matter? And I probably was just pushed around in the hallway or something. And I broke down sobbing. And she took me off of the floor. And she said, I'm going to do something. This can't be. You can't, it has to stop. I said, oh no, you can't say anything. It's just going to make it worse. And I don't know what's going to happen next. If we say something, and these girls they were bullies. And they were hurting me when I didn't do anything. Imagine if I said something about them, what could then happen to me? And she wasn't going to listen to me because she's like, this is just not right. You didn't do, like, she knew me. She's like, you didn't do anything. Because if I had done something, I would have said, oh yeah, I did whatever I did, but I hadn't. I mean, there was no rhyme or reason for what I had been through. And I believe it eventually stopped. I just didn't want to speak up. And that followed me through my work. If something didn't go right at work, even in sales, when I was in a commissioned sales area and people would take my sales, I didn't want to make waves. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to speak up. So they would take advantage. I was bullied in other ways. And they were, I was being pushed around and bullied. Oh, Renee's a nice one. Oh, we could do whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. But why would you pick on somebody that didn't do anything? Why would you want to hurt someone that didn't do anything? The answer that I came up with is because they could.
Yeah, hurt people hurt. So
hurt people. Exactly.
Yeah, if you could, I was able to write in a book with a friend of mine in England. It was called Notes to My Younger Self. If
Right.
you could write a note to your younger self, what would you say?
Don't think with that crap. You stand up for yourself. You stand up for yourself. Do not let people do that to you. Yes, hurt people. I didn't understand then. They were going through their own journey, and they wanted to show that they were strong. So hey, we could do that. Watch this.
Yeah.
And they were there. The tough girl was walking with the puffed up, chest, and it's like they could just push people around and get away with it, and that made them feel good. Why they did it? Maybe they were being abused at home.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know that. At this point, we're talking like decades and decades ago. I don't know, but yeah, hurt people, and they were probably hurt in some other way in their life. Maybe they had, God forbid, rape or molestation or whatever they had. I don't know why people choose to hurt innocent people, why that upbringing in their own journey would lead them to pick on somebody. What I will say is I'm grateful for all of my experiences now. Then I would say no. Would you be grateful for being bullied? No. Are you grateful for having an illness that you didn't want to live? No. Were you quarantined from the whole world for 4 months, not knowing if you'd speak again? At the time, no. But if this is what it took for me to have my voice, to empower, inspire, and educate others, and to be there for them as a vessel with a voice, and impact lives that need this kind of an impact, to show them that they are enough, and their voice matters. And they need to speak up and to have the courage and the confidence within them that they shouldn't stay in the abusive relationship. They don't need to, they're better than that. And that there's help out there. They don't need to stay within whatever place they're at. You know, we all go through things in life. You know, you hear from the rags to riches, and then people go back to the rags because they've done something where they lost everything. You know, they have the extremes. Wherever you are at in life, whatever's going on in your life, know that you can get through it, because I am living proof of that. And I ended up, as you know, Debbie, writing a book about not all of these experiences, about different experiences, like a Chicken Soup for the Soul book, where each chapter, there's 11 chapters, a very short book. I actually have it here.
Give us the name of it and where people can get a hold of it.
It's called Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains, and Unleash Your Greatness. And I will say, finding, it's, you know, it's the process, right? You're finding your voice. Unlock your chains and unleash your greatness. It's an action. You have to unlock your chains to unleash your greatness. And I believe I was bound up in my own chains. And it's also my own greatness that's been unleashed finally unto the world. And about 5 weeks ago, I just released the audio version of this. It's not on Audible, it's an actual audio that you can download. It's great. You can do that. And people used to ask me in the beginning of the audio version of the book, I kind of say, people used to say, who's going to do your voiceover for your book? And I said, did you read the title? It's called Finding Your Voice. It's going to be me.
Yeah.
And in all seriousness, I'm going to say that was one of the biggest blessings, because to stand in that soundproof booth and to do my own voice, lend my voice to a book that I wrote, that I never knew I was going to have a voice in which to even speak, is nothing short of a blessing and a gift that I will forever be grateful for.
And that time that you were battling that disease too was a time to really pause and write. You said that's where you really found the book within you, came from that time when you couldn't speak. So you had that busyness of your life. I call it the BUSYNESS. The busyness had to pause.
Well, I will say this, that didn't come then. That wasn't when it came. So
okay.
When it came was after I was released from that position in corporate America.
Oh.
It was probably brewing in there, because what happened, and we didn't talk about this, it's probably why you didn't know, but after I was released, it was February 2017. The book I was writing in 2018, 2019. It's a short book. You can see it doesn't take that long to write a book like this, but I kept putting it down. I put the manuscript down. Who am I to write a book? I got to get work. What kind of book am I writing? And I had papers all over, notes all over. And like, no, I don't have time for this. I got to get a job. And then I kept getting that knock on the head. There's a friend of ours from back east who's also transitioned. And we were on the phone one day prior to me even starting the book. She goes, you should write a book of everything you've been through. I said, nah. She goes, no, you should write a book. And I put that in the book, that she was the first one that said, you need to write a book. And she wasn't getting like, oh, you should write a book, you've been through it. She actually said, you need to. And I did. So shout out to Arlene Eisenberger, who's resting in peace, I pray. And she was the first one to tell me that you really need to do that. And other people started calling me from around from friends from around the world, actually, that I'm connected with. And they said, you need to write a book. I'm like, what is this book thing that people keep telling me I need to write? And I did. And even though I kept putting it down for so many different times, I said, this is not going to be about me. It's going to be for others. Yes, the book, I wrote different chapters about what I went through, but in the book, it is about you. It is about the reader. I have takeaways after each section. Where is it?
Yeah.
And I leave 3 to 4 line pages for the reader to write their answer, not because they have to use it all at once, but you answer as whatever room you need, and you pick it back up and see, where was I in September 1st, 2022, when I wrote down that answer, or whenever the book comes to you. Where am I a week from now, a month from now, 3 months, whenever you pick it up again, and you write the next date in there in your journal, use it as a journal. And you can see how far you've actually come from the first answer you wrote. So we don't give ourselves enough credit, especially as women, for where we've come in our journey. Just like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You're scrolling on social media, you're seeing, look at everybody else doing everything else, and you're still here. You know, how would you expect to go anywhere? Look at you. You look at what everybody else is doing. You're still in this. It's like, wait a minute. Oh my God. I did this. I did this. I did this. And every chapter has its own set of questions. And it really is to make you think and to be honest. Not for me. I'm not going to see these answers. It's for you. And to keep recording in your journey and your journal, that this is part of a journal, that you can record this in. And so even though I have the audio, I really recommend getting the book as well as a companion, because it's a journal for you to write that down. And yeah, you might want to listen to the audio version, because I wanted to make sure I touch people in the 3 ways they receive information. That's auditory, to listen. Now I have that. There's kinesthetic, which is to feel. You have a book, you can feel, you can hold it. It's an easy paperback. And visually, you know, you have a Kindle, you can read it. If you download the Kindle version, you can have it on a Kindle. So your eyes, your ears, and
Well, we're also doing a call, and we can see you.
And we can see, yes, you can
and
see.
hear you.
So there's a lot of different ways to connect, and I love connecting with people. In fact, I'm going to put an offer out there. If anybody wants an autograph, I started doing this thing my mother suggested, because she heard me on a call one day. She heard my frustration and not being able to, because I was going to do book signings before the pandemic hit, and then I wasn't doing them. And I did one for veterans, pre-pandemic. I spoke to a group of beautiful veterans in my area in Southern California, and I did a book signing for them. And then the pandemic hit, and I wasn't able to. So she said, Renee, why don't you have people email you where you are? And what I've done is I have my signature, and I send you, if anybody's interested, you've got to let me know though, a special message on a Word document with my signature. And then I email it to you. So it's not an email, it's attached to email in a document. And you print it out and you put that in your book. You now have your autograph special message from me to you with love.
There you go. Well, writing is that first step to recovery in anything that happens. And for the women that I work with as part of SCARS, which is the Society of Citizens Against Relationship Scams, we all say that first step to empowerment is to release the thing that hurt you, let it go. And for me, it was writing my book too, is getting that story out, because now it's not you. It's happened, but what can others learn from it? And
Yes.
And that's huge. And the next part is, don't blame yourself for what happened, and don't allow anyone else to blame you, because they have no idea what you've been through.
No, exactly. They don't. And that's something that I was touching on earlier when I said scrolling through social media. Nobody knows where people have been. People show, and I do quotes. I do my own quotes. If anybody's listening, follow me on social media. If not, I invite you to, and to connect. I do my own quotes every day. And one of the quotes I recently did, just a couple of days ago, in fact, was about the REEL versus the REAL. The reals are not the real. And people post the highlight reel. They're not going to say, look at all these things that are happening and life is hard and blah, blah, blah. You think they're going to say that? They're going to say, look at me, look at this great, look at me. Oh, I'm here, I'm there, I'm doing all this great stuff. That's the highlight reel. Where's the REAL? Where's the REEL of what your life is like? Do you want to show that? Oh no, I'm not going to show that. So, and I put music to it. I do every day. I post a different quote. So
is that on your Facebook page?
It's on, well, I have a Facebook group and I post it in there. And I do have a personal page as well. I haven't been posting it there. I've been posting it in the group, and I also post on Instagram, and I post it on Twitter.
What's the group called on Facebook? Do you happen?
Yes. It's also on my link tree. All my links to everything, the audio book, the book, connecting to a complimentary call with me for 30 minutes is also there. Like my link tree is all the great links.
Give us the URL for the link tree.
Link tree is just the HTTPS, linktr.ee/Renee Reisch. It's RENEE So it's again, HTTPS://linktr.ee, then / and then it's my name, RENEEREISCH. And when you click on the link, and that's on my Instagram too. It's in the bio on Instagram. Just click on the link tree. And Instagram is @ReischRenee. @ReischRenee.
Okay, we'll post all that. That'll be on the replay.
Yeah, and then you can click on that. You can see the group. You can get a complimentary call with me for 30 minutes. I also have a 10-step complimentary download, 10 steps to finding your voice, which is an ebook I have up there. Then my Twitter, YouTube, Instagram.
So you're out there. So for a woman that could not speak for a while, you're making up for it. And
yeah, I do, because this is my way to give back and let others know that they can get through it too. That's why I offer a complimentary call for those, that are out there that feel they need this support. And you may not feel, I don't say the word need, because I don't want to need anything. Nobody wants to feel like they need something. It's that where you can use some extra support in your life. And my tag, like you said, you were reading, it's to help those suffocating in silence to express their true voice with confidence. To be able to do that, that's what I'm here to help people with. And, also I'd love to get this book into schools and universities, women's groups, women's shelters. I mean, there's so many people this could help, because I know the students, there's a lot of suicide out there, not because they were the students, but especially they've been quarantined, the pandemic for so long, to help them in finding their voice, especially the takeaway sections to express themselves. Because I'm part of a platform called OWL, and my friend is CEO of that. And if anybody, that's also on my link tree is OWL. I'm connected there too. And I also do, I also connect with people on that platform. And that I had students call me, and they were reaching out, because he was doing something with Florida Atlantic University, and I had many students call me and ask me for support and helping them. Renee, how do you get motivated? How do you find that courage and confidence? And they were really, to me, it was a wake-up call to how we can serve and support students. I'd love to, as I said, to get this into schools and universities. I was a psychology major. This would have helped me so much, in my own journey, but I hadn't lived my part of the journey yet that I needed to be the author of this book. So I highly encourage you to get this. It is something that it's an evergreen tool to put into your toolbox, the book, Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains and Unleash Your Greatness. And for people listening that have kids, if they would like to reach out and get a hold of me to get this, yeah, if you're working in the education system, it would be so great. In college, I would love to have
FAU's right down the street from me. It's not too far.
There you go.
It's interesting, but I heard you talk to, on one of the podcasts I listened to, you're talking about how each of us needs to have a coach or mentor, because we can't see, I think you put it, you can't see the picture.
You can't see, right. You can't see inside the picture from outside the frame, right? If you're in the picture, in the middle of the picture, you're in the frame.
We can't see the big picture for ourselves.
You can't.
Can we? Can we? And why not?
And like you can't see the forest from the trees. You can't see all these sayings are true. You can't see it because you're in it. And having a mentor, having a coach, there's so many coaches out there. Who do you know is the right one? How do you know which to pick? Not everybody is for everybody. That's why there's different coaches. My main thing is to help those that who feel like they are suffocating in silence to express their true voice with confidence. I come from the corporate world. If you're, that person that feels like I need that support, I've got this position and yet I don't really feel like I have the confidence, even though I'm the CEO of the company, I don't feel, and that there's no shame in any of that, because guess what? I was a manager in a corporate 500 company. I didn't speak up as I should have. Because we're in this leading position, we're like, oh my God, I have to have it all together. I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm a that. Those are labels, those are roles you play. But who are you intrinsically? And what is holding you back and stopping you from really living your most authentic life and speaking up for yourself? Well, it's too late. I'm already this old. I can't go back now. Oh, heck yeah. Oh, you can. And where my mom, God bless her, she's still with me. And I'm so grateful. She said, Renee, where there's life, there's hope. And I will never forget that, because there is hope. You have life and you have a life which you are here to live, not just to merely exist.
And we're going to live long lives. I mean, my mom and dad are 88 and 93, and I plan on, I'm only 2/3 through. So
Amen.
there's a lot of life to live. And regardless of, the missteps we've taken in the past, and everybody has, they're not mistakes, they are missteps. What did we learn from them, and what can we do going forward? You have a blueprint. It's called the Voice Blueprint.
Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
Tell me a little bit about that. And how do we find out more about that?
Thank you. So I created this based on my own experience. And it takes the people I work with along that journey from vulnerability to empowerment. So each letter, it's an acronym for the process. And in trusting that process, going from vulnerability to empowerment, I created the Voice Blueprint, which takes them along that journey. And I'm there with them.
And we can find that on your website. Here, making her talk so much, she's losing her voice.
No, I'm not losing it. No.
It's really important, though, that being vulnerable and speaking up about something that's happened, it's not weak. It's actually very strong, I think, to be able to speak about something that in your heart of hearts was one of the worst times of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It is about speaking up and not speaking up like just to speak out and say,
there's a difference.
There's a difference. You want to be heard. People want to be seen, heard, and felt. And in what I'm doing, this is how I help you in being seen, heard, and felt.
And it's what people feel about what you've said. You connect from the heart. We don't want to hear the blabber that everybody's got a 5 minutes because of their phone. They want their 5 minutes of fame. We don't want to hear the blabber that's out there. We want to hear and feel the heart.
It is. I do come from that space, because I know from where I speak now, I didn't then, because I didn't have that courage or that confidence. I also hold workshops. I'm holding there's 5 more. I did one last Friday. It was on confidence and courage, and it was really empowering. And there's 5 more left. So every 3 weeks through the remainder of the year, I'm holding another workshop. So I have that as well. So please reach out if you are interested in any of these things, the Voice Blueprint, if you'd like to have that support with that and find out more about how we can work together, let me know that. The book, the audios on the Linktree, to have a 30-minute consultation with me is on the Linktree, my group, my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, everything is there. So please reach out. There's a reason we connected, Debbie, and there is a reason I have a voice today. And it's, as I said, the 3 words I always used are impact, inspire, and empower. It's through that impact we get to inspire so we can empower those around us needing to find their own voice.
And it's important, and it can be a quiet, still, small voice. We don't need the voice of thunder, as my late husband used to say to the kids. It's either, the still small voice or the voice of thunder. And sometimes the voice of thunder, can knock you flat and you're in the hospital or, isolated for 4 months, but it's the still one. And it's listening to your spirit. It's listening to how you feel And that you can find the courage from that. And I know from the first time I spoke up about what happened to me with the relationship scam 10 years ago to today, when I start talking about it to today, it just power wells from the inside out.
Oh, yeah.
And that is important. And that's what we learn from opening up and speaking up with confidence.
So true. That's so true. What I also want to say is that, which I haven't said yet, it was in losing my voice that was the beginning of finding my voice.
So you can't stay in the past.
Don't live in the past. Use it as a tool. Use it to help you. And this is why I'm here speaking with you today. Call me, reach out to me, connect. And this is how we can, find out how we can work together. If it's anything I've said resonates with you or a friend of yours, it may not be for you. Maybe this doesn't resonate, but you're like, oh my God, I gotta tell my friend about her. I gotta let her know.
Right.
She needs to call her. She needs to get in touch with her. So yeah, my contact, everything is in the book also, and I gave you the link tree too. Everything is here. So yeah, I just reach out. It's about the journey, not the destination. And I know that's a cliche, but it's really true. We don't know what this journey will entail as we go through it and as we evolve, because life is always evolving and things don't happen to us. They do happen for us.
I believe that. A lot of people don't, but I do. And
yeah, I would never have said this years ago. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This pain, this like where I don't want to live, that's happening for me. Tell me what part of this is happening for me, because I don't understand it. And I didn't understand it. And I would totally disagree with you 1,000,000% that it's not happening for me, because this is the most pain that I've ever felt, and I don't even want to be here anymore. So I would definitely disagree at the time. As I said, in hindsight, there was definitely a reason. And I also believe that it was so intense because the work I'm here to do is that great. It's that big to serve and support those who have gone through or going through something in this kind of a situation where they feel, not that you have to physically have lost your voice, I'm not saying that, but where you metaphorically may right now be feeling like you don't have a voice. It doesn't matter what you say, it's always about other people, and you're not taking care of you anymore. It's everybody but you. That is losing your voice too.
Yeah.
Not just in the way I did.
And you're feeling alone, and we're not here
alone and isolated, especially during the pandemic. Even though I know things are opening back up and people are getting out there again, it's still what took place in the last 2+ years that, that people are still feeling this way. I work with people all around the world. I don't care where you're listening from. I mean, we've got Zoom, there's this lovely thing called technology, which we get to use. So I work with people all over the world, and I encourage and invite you to reach out to me, because that's what this is about. It's about sharing our voices together. And Debbie, I want to give just a shout out to you for allowing me this platform, your platform, for us to share our voices to help those listening to connect with us. And so this is it was worth every minute of getting up in the middle of the night to be here. It really was. And I was excited to do it. And I know you and I felt, I'm like, Debbie, do you feel this thing here? It's like, I don't care where you're located. I feel like this, like I've known you. Like, we were just talking like yesterday. I said, because we wanted to talk before we came on. And I felt like, God, I know you. Like, it was so easy. It wasn't like, I don't know. It's like we had met, right?
Right. And there are so many people out there that are like us and want to connect and should have connected over time, and technology is allowing it. And it is amazing. I've met some incredible people the last few years that I've done the show, and I've learned more from them each and every week. I've just grown, because everybody has their problems. And honestly, yeah. I look at things that happen to other people and think, oh, thank goodness for my problem.
Right. Yours,
right. It's in perspective.
Is right. As much as it's like, this was really big, like it pales in comparison, like, oh my God, they went through that. And yeah, no matter what it is, and you're not looking for anybody to go through something bigger so you can make
no, not at all. Not at all. But it gives you such
empathy.
It's empathy. It gives you empathy.
That's what we're exactly. I want to make sure we're being clear. Like, oh, so we read
No, it's not one-upsman. It's empathy.
No. I want to be really clear on that. It's definitely not that. It is, it's about, and I always say it's not about, no competition, it's collaboration. I love collaborating with people because this is where your heart comes out. And I lead from my heart because I now, not that I didn't have one before, I always had one. It was so much, there was the people pleasing. It was it was in the wrong direction rather than the inward. Like I said, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Everybody looking for the outside, the Tin Man looking for the heart. He had the biggest heart there. She had to keep oiling him with the oil can because he was crying so much. And then the Scarecrow looking for the brain, and he was the smartest one there. Then the Cowardly Lion looking for the courage, yet he had the most courage because he jumped in front of the Wicked Witch to protect all of those characters. And then even Dorothy looking to get the ruby red slippers to click her heel 3 times to say there's no place like home and she'd be back in Kansas. And they were all going to the land of Oz to find their way back. Yet each and every one of them had it within them to go back to themselves. So in this journey of the voice blueprint and what I've created, I walk yourself back to you, coming back home to who you are.
That's perfect. And so with that, our show, I knew our hour would fly by, my friend. Thank you so very much for your time. And folks, look her up. She's up on social media. You can't miss her, Renee Reisch. And I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for finding your voice. Thank you for sharing it with my audience and with me. I really appreciate it. And I know we'll do things going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, dear. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Stand Up and Speak Up. We are dedicated to encouraging you to remove the mask of embarrassment and to being your best self. If you are the victim of a scam or cybercrime, please visit againstscams.org for assistance and guidance about options and recovery. SCARS, the Society of Citizens Against Relationship Scams, is an incorporated nonprofit crime victims assistance organization based in Miami, Florida, supporting scam victims worldwide. If you can, make a small donation to help victims around the world receive the help they need. This episode has been sponsored by BenfoComplete.com, a vitamin supplement company that supports happy and healthy hands and feet for those with neuropathy. If you or anyone you know struggles with the pins and needles or numbness in their hands and feet, check out our benfotiamine products at BenfoComplete.com. Use the special code STANDUP for a 5% discount on your purchase. Again, thank you for being with us today. Go to my website, The Woman Behind the Smile, for additional resources and information. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and enjoy the replays. My books are all available on Amazon.com and Audible, and I encourage you to join us again. Have a great day.